You're about to hear music you're not supposed to hear. In many parts of the world, musicians are routinely threatened, abused, and imprisoned for what they've played on a piano or sung into a microphone. But there's a new concert series in Brooklyn meant to give such musicians a stage, even if they can't perform in person.
Marcas construído, mai catulho muçulmano na finca testa. Decora carnaval, chega a câmara, tamide bindi. Profeci barracas, vão mentir férias, povo nas sacratas. Gana, ossa, Deus, medo, pecador, minha mensagem na ficalas claras. Pidi, de Guinness, brancos, finança, cansa, é pro ti. Batade na chuculi, mesmo com fracos, quality. Bandeira de Guiné, cara respeitado. Pra BT, necoras, que imita city, glite. Ele é sob som de bully. Sandy era por para masca, bantoli. Canto ano, Guinness ainda vive na sorna. E catulho, vizinho estrangeiro na volta na urna. Tribunal, centro de injustiça. Juízes, espíritos, na simples sensação de tirem apenas para xixir uma de constituição. Yo, a perpendicular, a perpendicular. Hey, man, you play how you are. Bobby Basket, ninja. Bobby Basket, ninja, missão. A perpendicular, a perpendicular. Hey, man, you play how you are. Bobby Basket, ninja. Bobby Basket, ninja, missão. É tipo de rato, não é escabali, mas crime bárbaro, é escabali. É tipo de rato, não é escabali. Não cansa de crítica para pinto besteira. Não cansa de matanças com vingança. Era na quinta, com punho na firme. Não deco não vai, que é sistema ali. Não deco não vai, que é sistema ali. Não deco não vai, assim. Não mata outro tipo de Marias. E justa já, essa calada, tanto violência pra quê? Não pude conversar. Guiné se volta em paciência, não fui no som. Guiné não juntar, lídia nós tudo irmãos.
I was at home rehearsing with my brother, and I got a call from NB, from a bar not far from my house, to come and meet with some people who were interested in contracting us for a show. So I went down to the bar, and I didn't feel quite right. I had a kind of a presentience about something, but I saw NB, and he's my friend, and I didn't have too many doubts or too much worry because he was there. So we sat with the four of them in the car, talking about the particulars of putting together a contract to play at one of their brother's wedding, they said. And then they said we had to go to a bar called Lennox. So we got in the car, and as we were going on the street, then they turned on the emergency lights of the car. They showed us their guns, they took our cell phones from us, and they took us directly to the military headquarters. When we arrived, one of them took his cell phone and called and said, "Colonel, the mission has been carried out."
Operação está feito é teneno lá na Estado-Maior General.
Teneno lá até horas e parece grupo seguinte que bimba lá mesmo para espancaria, não entende.
There were groups of people there whose role is to hit people, to torture people. Then they put us into a cell that didn't have any conditions at all and threatened us for almost 2 days. Threatened to take us to the Baloba, which we interpreted as a threat to take us out and kill us.
Fifth column, Hassan Salam, scientific by Freedom Productions. It's another tale of the lost tribe. Many born, many died, many survived. I Got so much to save, a little time to say it. Only so long for the reaper come collecting his payment. Unlike most in the game, I don't play to be famous. It's the message, not the messenger. I consider it sacred. Make love to the pages. Tracks give birth to the verse in the crowd. They watch it go through growth stages. Without a cutting agent, take it back to the basics. Tagging on the wall, shell toes with fat laces.
When I first heard about what the brothers from Balaberos are going through, I can't. It's hard to put into words, but it was just like the utmost respect for them as artists, for them as human beings, to be willing to put their lives on the line, you know, not just for what they believe in on a political sense of things, but for what they believe in with their music. It's amazing how hip-hop has become a world language. You know, people have our different, languages that we speak, but the actual music and the way that it's delivered and the way that it's brought to the people and the way that it comes from the bottom and works its way up and it spreads out across the world is just amazing to me. With the explosion of the internet, I think the people are actually using hip-hop now all over the world to be a voice for the voiceless. And I think that it's amazing and it's really a blessing and an honor to be a part of it.
MCs, can you hear me? It's me, Brother Ace. Can these problems give Brother Ace a headache? Shots get fired in the capital, changing my heart rate. Can't stay still, gotta pick up this pace. Yeah, the news is spreading, something's gotta be said. From the mouths of Guinea-Bissau, here to break bread. It was 7 in the evening when the attack went down. Dynamite in Tagle's office, left it burnt to the ground.
Like when I got the printout of the translation of the lyrics, it wasn't rhyming in the English part, so basically I had to read their lyrics and try to put it together and make it rhyme, but without losing the content of what they were saying. I got as much information I could about Guinea-Bissau and was just reading up on it, and the fact that it was on the west coast of Africa and it was a part of the Mali Empire, and then also, this is all before it was colonized by the Portuguese. It was also one of the major slave ports. So for all I know, that could be where my ancestors are from. So it just means that much more to really make that connection and keep the work moving and keep it going and show that, the struggle over there in the motherland is the African diaspora. It affects me. It affects every one of us. We sit here and we complain about how the world is messed up and this, that, and the other, but if you ain't doing nothing to fix it, then you just need to shut the fuck up, basically.
We are an organization, a new organization dedicated to the paradoxical purpose of promoting music that cannot be played. Not because it's too difficult, but because someone somewhere does not want it to be played. Thank you for being here. Please welcome Hassan Salam.
To read their lyrics that Brian translated, I still, in the English, I still saw, like, okay, these brothers are real descriptive with how they're speaking on their situation, but it's also extremely informative. Like when I went online to read about Guinea-Bissau, I was like, oh yeah, that's what they said right here, So it was kind of like those brothers are reporting, what we here in America are not going to hear about from mainstream media, and that's exactly what they're doing, and I respect that about that because obviously it's tough for them over there.
Well, let's see if we can hear it from the source. Do we have the crew online? Hey, Balaberos.
It's a long way.
Yeah, isso eu falei assim, né, mano. So esse mídia pro hip hop, micro, no canabisha, no na vida pro Guiné-Bissau mesmo. Lembro quando no canabia aos street, mas aqueles que na Bilanda pedem bom vida. Yeah.
It's a right we've taken to take the microphone, to choose hip hop, and this is a right that we've chosen, and And even if we don't get to live in a game sound that's worthwhile, somebody will at some point.
Yeah, pensa tu, you know, respect.
So MCH comes in. Chaos began with the death of Ansumane when he was killed and disregarded like a rag. Even today, we've not heard any truth. Crimes, crimes, more crimes, only crimes done by false exclusive military who even today violate the will of the people. These things didn't start today and they're not going to end today either. They handed me Nduta, who fancies himself as the boss. Who knows if in the next episode he won't be the one knocked off. As much as you might be a flower that's not smelled, nobody deserves to be murdered this way. How many killings have come and gone like a handful of salt in the water? The dead, more of the dead on top of the dead, cadavers defunct, so they say. It was in the afternoon that the attack was made and took Tagme's life. It was Nino's order, they said. Early the next morning, the retaliation at the house of the Prez of the nation. Besides 31 bullets, or shall we say a clip, machete attack, a night of terror. The military showed us in their own country it's their law, it's their land, it's their nation. There's a list. There's a list that what was confirmed, and the president was the first to be murdered. But get ready, it's only the beginning of the end of June 7th. And we're forced. We're stopped in the face of its power. There's no voice to comment. The law is bent. The corruption continues to vibe because nobody cares. Nobody cares, and they bury the dead alive in this country, is in mourning with their balls in the butter and the country guided without a compass. Those of us without uniforms are like mounds of donated used clothes in piles. But it's true, we're not afraid to die. Kind of like Kunta Kinte. The soul of Cabral rests. People, how can this country cool down? Each government we put in place like furniture. Fingers on the trigger, the system gets more complicated. Click, click. Mortar shots launched against President of the Republic's house. The military are evil like bugs that make it ever since there's been Guinea. We've never sung Koki Loki.
Someone in the audience wants to know, what are you going to do from here? Are you going to keep doing what you've been doing?
Tena conta se vuole continuare a tenere intera musicale o una vita.
Guys, uma música rap, não dá para ser crítica. Crítica, não dá crítica para bem de nação. Tudo coisa que quer saber, não dá contar. Para bem de manga, nós estamos subindo para rádio, estamos subindo para televisão, para bem de mer declarar verdade. E a nós estamos debatendo, a nós estamos sem arma. Não batalha tudo hora,
So as you know, we do critical rap. Everything we sing is critical. It's about fixing the country. And we sing things that people are afraid to sing. And you won't hear some of the stuff that we sing. You won't hear it on the radio usually until maybe our music comes out. So, we're like soldiers without guns. We shoot with hip-hop.
We want you to know that there are a lot of people here in New York who want you to keep doing what you've been doing.
Fires in the studio, couldn't stop the music. No complaints or excuses, just struggle for the movement. 7 minutes of truth goes far beyond the booth. Fucking shots in the system for the worldwide ghetto youth. If they wasn't selling it, the government be selling it. Instead they posed as felons, out on some belly shit. But again, he was out, governments living foul, killing man, woman, and child without never standing trial. Same style for 73. It's like one coup after another. People never been free. Trying to reach what our ancestors destined to be. Mali Empire, slave coast, resting in peace, and it goes. Everybody in the spot, make some noise so they can hear you all the way over there.
The song is written in bullets, and
definitely
the way you sing it, it's spitting bullets. And, you know, Fela Kuti said that music is the weapon of the future. And you listen to these guys and you hear Hassan Salam do it and you believe it. But you are, of course, a MC in your own right, and you've been spending weeks of your life and pouring your heart out into 7 minutes of truth. But you brought along something of your own.
It begins with the Big Bang, first spark, electrical impulse, the brain's first thought, drumming of the heart. 9 organs correlating to the 9 planets to make the best part. Mother Earth nurtured the light from dark soil for the seed, and in 9 months it start. Born into a world of corruption and wickedness. Childhood is just something to reminisce. Innocence get lost quick in instances. Seems like right and wrong makes no difference. Ignorance keep us in the wilderness. Children of God wishing she wasn't brought into this. Shorty lived beyond her years. Smoke haze and drink beers like a future career. For cheap thrills she pop E-pills in her pussy. So her lovers get high when they lick between her thighs. No examples to go by when it comes to a father figure. Calls for daddy when random men run up in her. Lets them come up in her. Cause she figure a child would love her better than the moms that left her with her aunt and 4 cousins that bounced the other winter. Sugar and spice, nah, ain't nothing nice. She was born bitter, keeps blaming herself as the reason for her best friend's killer. And every day his absence makes it more realer. Her hopes are gone, dead and buried. Made reservations early for them dirty Jersey cemeteries. Black Wall Street ain't standing, so the commissary is now financial planning. The crib is a cell with no room to stand in. Story been the same from Watts to Camden. No money, no job, so brothers think poison will keep them alive. 2 for 5. Selling genocide day and night. Cause even with the seed of life, some still seek the pipe. One night left alone with her anger. She tried her own abortion in the tub with a hanger. Same fate, father upstate with a banger. Shanked by a kid who swore he keeping it gangster. We dying off the mentality, casualties constantly woven through the tapestry. The abs becoming a shooting gallery. Everyday collective sanity slipping gradually. The block move more like clockwork. Best do your dirt quick before them cops search. Living like a slave from the cradle to the grave with the one thought, I gotta get paid. Or is it that we living afraid, more comfortable in the cage than dealing with change? No time to complain, the forecast is rain. Children of God been forged in the flame. Survived all the hardships so we can stand before thee and hallow thy name. Her labor pain's been the same since the crescent was fertile. We birthed in the promise, so it's all full circle. Shorty fell to her knees and pleaded with God for her fate's reversal. Cause now it's no choice but to keep it. Can't afford the procedure and it ain't no secret. Has no idea what to teach it. Considers afterborn where there's a trash to leave it. She homeless with no one to help her. No mangers in the hood. She gave birth in a shelter. And as they laid her up on that stretcher, she held a child and realized God never left her. See, from all is one. And since day one been adding on to the sum. 3 stages in life for each daughter and son, with the power to leave our footprints across the 6 sextillion ton. We all line up the 777. Either build or destroy to make this world we living in hell or heaven. The lesson been born and your light is the sign. For in each one of us is the will of divine. Just look to y'all light as the sign. Cause we the children of God, offspring of divine. What up, y'all? What's up, brother? You can drop that for me. Them brothers feel what y'all doing. The fact that you here means so much. Because a lot of times, like, people don't realize how the universe works, right? Like, real talk, a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere and there's a hurricane somewhere else. It doesn't seem like it, but that's how energy starts. And the fact that you're here is like that initial push. I mean, it's a lot stronger than some butterfly wings up in here because we got some folk in here. But the fact that you're here, the fact that you're going to talk about this, because I hope you're not here, you know, and you're going to go home and continue to be silent, or not that you were shook already, but you're not going to go home and be silent about this. Because what happens over there happens here.
The voice of the voiceless is alive to chronicle the sessions that some forces would deem impossible. Obstacles only exist if you allow them to. In the Balabetta's crew, no none, so fuck is up with you. Fires in the studio couldn't stop the music. No complaints or excuses, just struggle for the movement. 7 minutes, the truth goes far beyond the booth. Bucking shots is the system for the worldwide ghetto youth.